Welcome to the Mekko Graphics webinar. This is David Goldstein, the president of Mekko Graphics, and I'm going to spend the next half hour introducing you to Mekko Graphics 8. Me and my team are all really excited about Mekko Graphics 8. It's been a while in development, and it's got a lot of great new features, and I'm going to give you that sort of overview introduction to those features. And next month, we will have a totally revamped Mekko Graphics training webinar, which will give you an in-depth exposure to Mekko Graphics as a whole and all the new features in Mekko Graphics 8. The way this will be structured is that I will go through the features in about half an hour. We will have the question section available, and one of my colleagues will be there to answer questions in real time during the webinar. And I will stick around after the webinar for a little while, and I'm also available to answer your questions then. So, and we will record this webinar. We will make the recording available to you, and we will make this slide presentation available to you. And if you signed up for the webinar, or if you had a colleague who signed up for the webinar and you didn't attend, you will still get, that colleague will still get the deck and have access to the videos. So let's dive right in. So we're going to show you 3 sets of new features for Mekko Graphics 8. The first are sets that involve coloring and giving you more options for coloring different kinds of charts. The second are a major change to the way we do Gantt charts. We totally rewrote our Gantt chart. I will give you a brief introduction to the new Gantt user interface and give you some examples of how you can create Gantt charts now in the new version of Mekko Graphics. And the third is really a catch-all for all the other changes that we made to Mekko Graphics, which will make the tool more powerful and easier to use. And I will work you through what I think are the most important of those changes. So that's where we're going. I will get going and just get you right started. So first thing that I'm really excited about, if you're a Mekko Graphics, if you're a Mekko chart maker, I think you'll really appreciate this. If you're not, then this might be a little, might not be as relevant for you. But we've added a feature we're calling color after sort, which allows you, if you've got a very complicated Mekko chart, to lay out the colors much more nicely. So in this chart, for example, we're using a color palette that starts with 5 different blues, moves on to 5 different greens, 5 different purples, etc., etc., etc. It used to be hard if you've got a very large Mekko chart like this one, and you want to display it with those colors aligned. Typically, the chart, once you produced it, would sort of kind of look like this. The color palette wasn't necessarily reflected in the chart because the color palette was applied before all your bars and series were sorted. So now it's very easy. We added this coloring mode feature to the format chart task pane. And if you've got a Mekko chart and you're sorting your Mekko chart, which you often do with your biggest segments on the bottom and your biggest bars on the left, it's very easy to click color by series after sort, and then you can see how your color palette is now reflected in the chart, and the chart, I think, looks a heck of a lot better. So this is, I think it's a great feature. If you make a lot of Mekko charts, if you make a lot of complicated Mekko charts, and you want them to look significantly nicer, I would encourage you to try the color after sort option. We also have in this chart, we have color by bars, which is another nice little feature. And I'm going to show you some examples of how I might use color by bars in the upcoming charts. So here's an example in a Mekko chart where you really want to focus the user, the viewer, on the differences between the bars and not so much on the differences of the segments within the bars. So each bar is going to just have its own unique color, and you do that just as I showed you before in the format chart. You just select color by bars. So it's nice in a Mekko chart. It gives it a different look. It's even more powerful in a bar Mekko or a cascade chart. So in a bar Mekko chart, you might want to lay out your data all in one row, all in one series, but you want each bar in that series to be a different color. And color by bar allows you to do that, and it allows you to do that in a cascade chart. If you laid out your cascade where all of your data was in one row, which is often common in a cascade chart. So you can see here that my data, oops, just trying to give you my data and my chart. My data goes, it's all here, 31, 25, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I want to color by bar. I can just click here and say color by bar. And now the bars are following my, my color palette, and it's got a very different look. You could simulate this in the past by laying out each cascade series in a separate, each cascade element in a separate series, but that was sort of a little artificial. Here you can just do it in one series, lay it out very easily, and have the color by bar, add the colors appropriately. So I think this is a great, I think it's a great new feature. I think it adds a lot to Mekko Graphics. It gives you a lot more control over over the coloring of your chart. And then the last color piece that I want to spend a few minutes on is coloring in a bubble chart. So we added a new feature to the bubble chart, and you can see it in the data. Here we added a group. So now each bubble can have 4 different columns. So, and this group column is optional. You can leave it blank. In which case all of your bubbles would be different colors. But if you add it, which I'm trying to do, but I did not. I go back to my chart when it was added, you can see that each of the groups now correspond to a legend item, and each of the groups is a different color, which is really nice. So you can use color as an extra dimension in your bubble charts. So I've grouped here my largest auto manufacturers in this gray, my second tier in this brown, my third tier in this green, and my luxury manufacturers in this light gray purplish kind of color. So this color by grouping works very well in the bubble chart. So it's just a nice new feature, another way to add color as a dimension to your bubble charts. Next, I wanted to show you Gantt. We've totally redesigned the Gantt chart. We've made it much easier to use, given you a lot more formatting options, and made it much more intuitive, much more drag and drop to insert elements into your into your charts. So if you notice now, the menu for the ribbon for the Gantt chart is totally different than it was before. A lot of the control is right here in the ribbon. You don't need to access a task pane to do a lot of the work in the Gantt chart. Very easy access to the calendar, just to click up here. And you can see I've got a little calendar control where I can set the start date and end date, or set my start date and duration, or I can choose my start date and choose my end date here by clicking. And then once I apply OK, my dates get updated. I can show what I want to appear here on the top. Right now I've got months, weeks, and days. I can click to get rid of weeks and just show months and days. I can add years and quarters if I want to the Gantt chart. We've got different Gantt views. We've got this box view, which I'm showing you here. We also have a list view, which is a nice alternative to the box view. And we have a mixed view. Back in my box view. So here, I can very easily add elements to this Gantt chart or edit them by just double clicking. If I hit enter, it's going to give me a new element. Very easily, and adjust the size of everything else. If I want to add up here, I have all of my different what we call timeline elements that I can insert into a chart. So if I want to put a process here, I can click here and say, give me a process, which are these thicker arrows. I can move it around, shrink it, do exactly what I want with it here. So very powerful, very easy to use. My other timeline elements that I can add are things like lines, which again I can move around and put where I want and change their size. I can click and change the formatting. I can change the color of the line, all very easily. On the right click, I can change the thickness of the line, and the duration, and all of those other elements. If I don't like the line, I can delete it with the delete key. I've also got bars, which are slightly thicker than lines. And I've got these processes, and I've got brackets, which I can add, which you can use to group processes together. And obviously, I've got milestones, which are very easy to add and to drag and put where you want them to be. So very nice interface, I think, very easy to work with. A great tool if you're making a one-page Gantt chart, you want to format it. Allows you to do things like highlight the weekends in gray, which we did here, add a date line and move it around. Add some date shading if you want to say you had a vacation and you wanted to shade that. You can set a vacation shading and move that around and change its color. So you can do an awful lot. Plus you've got margin control. You can add extra columns to the chart, either on the left or the right. All very easy to do. If you're making Gantts, I would encourage you to try the Gantt chart, try our new Gantt chart, and see if you can get the Gantts in the format that you want them to be. So got one other Gantt example I wanted to show you, just to show that that we can use the same tool and make two charts that look very different. We've got shading we can do, which we did here for alternating task levels. We can add a resource column. We can change our margins to make them look any way you want them to look. So a lot of capabilities, very different user interface. I think a lot easier to use than our last iteration at Gantt. And like I said, I would encourage you to try it, give us your feedback, and hopefully make Gantt charts more quickly and more effectively with the software. So third piece, I'm now on to what we called fast formatting. We've added a bunch of new features, many requested by our current customer base. One that was requested by a lot of our Cascade and Waterfall users is to take a element in my Cascade chart and link it to an earlier element in the chart, not necessarily the element right before, not necessarily the bar right before the bar that I'm working with. So now in the Cascade, we've got the ability here to, if you right-click on a Cascade, you can set its previous bar. So the previous bar typically by default would be the bar one next to it here, but if I wanted to take this bar and link it way back to this first one, I can just say set previous Cascade to beginning sales scenario 1, and it automatically links back to this scenario. So I think there are a bunch of different use cases for linking a bar to a different previous bar. To a different previous bar. We now give you that capability, and hopefully you will find it useful. We also made changes to the Mekko Graphics Preference Manager, which will allow you to set your defaults for preferences very differently than before. You can set your default coloring mode. You can set default line widths that you couldn't before. In your color palettes, you can set default colors for different kinds of lines. So if you want your axes not to be black or your net lines to be green or a different color, you can set them all in your color palette in Mekko Graphics. Plus, we've exposed all of the Gantt colors, the default colors for the different parts of the Gantts as well here. So I would encourage you to explore in the Preference Manager and take a look at those different options. Other things we've done, I think we've tried to make Mekko Graphics easier to use. We've tried to make things quicker to do, and one of the things that I'm very excited about that we made available much more quickly and easily in Mekko Graphics is number formatting. So you could always go here and change in format chart and change the number formats for different types of numbers, like your bar totals or your segment numbers. But now we've exposed that on the right click. So I can go here and click on a bar total and hold this down and click on a y-axis, right click, and then I've got this little number dialog. So if I just select those two and say I want them both in dollars, it's going to make that change and put them both in dollars. So now you can do number formatting just by clicking on the numbers, bringing down this little box, which is available anytime you click on a label, and change the number format, change the number of decimal places, add percent signs, do whatever you'd like with just a click and without having to open a task pane if you didn't want to open a task pane. Speaking of task panes, we did add a new task pane that I wanted to show you. So if you click now on a segment in a chart, we've got this Format Segment Style task pane. So you could always click on a segment and right click and change the segment color or the series color, now you can access that also by clicking on a segment, and you can change the color here for that segment. You can change the pattern or the border. You can change the color for the entire series that the segment is in over here, or give it a pattern. Or you can change the color or change the font of the series label. Or you can change the color or the font, the color or the pattern of the entire bar that the series is in with just a click here. So all of that is available in this new format, series and segment style task pane. And you get that task pane when you click on a segment. If you've got a task pane open, say format axis or format chart, and you click on a segment, it'll switch to this format segment task pane. So I think this is nice, just gives you some more visibility to the features available in Mekko Graphics and sort of reinforces our notion of using task panes to expose the different properties of the different items in the Mekko Graphics chart. Next, I wanted to show you something our customers have been asking for in bubble charts, which is the ability to change the layering of the bubble charts. So here I've got two bubbles, India and Indonesia, and Mekko Graphics put India in front of Indonesia. If I wanted Indonesia first, I can just click on bubble order and say I want to put Indonesia in the front. So very easy with just a click. I can move a label from the back to the front. So now we've given you a little more control over the bubble charts. Great. Those were the features that I wanted to walk you through, even faster than the 30 minutes that I thought I would need. So I'm going to free up a little more time. Hopefully I didn't go through that too quickly. Hopefully I gave you a flavor of the different changes that we made. I would encourage you to download the latest version of Mekko Graphics, to play with the new features, to give us some feedback on them. We're always interested in feedback from our customers. And if you have questions or you need additional information, I would really encourage you to take a look at our website. We've got on it a bunch of different videos. We'll add some new videos for our new for the new Mekko Graphics 8 features. We updated our chart gallery to work with Mekko Graphics 8, and now we have a chart gallery in PowerPoint and also a chart gallery in Excel, all with different sample charts that you can look at. I would encourage you to subscribe to the Chart of the Week blog. You'll see a new chart every week, and to reach out to us using the Ask an Expert feature here in the Mekko Graphics tab to send us questions, and we will get back to you very quickly. Well, great. I hope, like I said, I hope the webinar was useful. I hope it was a great introduction, a good introduction to version 8, and I will stick around and answer any questions that you might have. Great, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. I see some people are going off. You can see if you're interested in sending me a question. The questions feature is right at the bottom of the Mekko Graphics, right at the bottom of the GoToWebinar, the GoToWebinar user interface, and just write them in, and I will try to answer them. And again, if there are features that you'd like to see in Mekko Graphics, let us know if there are changes you'd like to make. We're very interested in listening to our customers and in updating our software to make those changes. And yeah, and obviously, if you find any bugs or issues with any of the new software, we'll be very anxious to learn about them and make fixes. Great. I will stick around for a few more minutes and see if we've got some additional questions coming in.